I want to
Hmm.
start. I want to go back to where it all started. I want to start with
Yeah.
the soybean and cotton field in
Yeah.
Bennettsville, South Carolina.
Yeah.
So you're
Well,
26, right? And you're coming
yeah.
from Raleigh, North Carolina, where you had opened
Right.
a small used car lot with an established
Right.
dealer in the area. You
Right.
were named the general sales manager of the new car import operation. Funny to think of those terms, the import
Yeah.
operation.
Yeah.
By
That's
the
right.
time you were 23, you had about 30 salesmen underneath you, sold about 300 cars a month all in. But Chevy
Right.
comes to you and offers you an opportunity to run your own dealership. And you wanted to go run your own store. And that's where we get down to Highway 401, just
Yeah.
past the county line in Bennettsville.
Yeah.
There's a house there in the middle of a swamp.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Describe that dealership for me. Well, in fact, you said at one point, you said there was nothing there.
Yeah. Well, when I was contacted by GM and they said we have three deals and they told me where they were and I said which and they said now here's the deal, if you can turn it around we'll get you a bigger opportunity and I said okay, where's the deal that's in the most trouble? And they said Bennettsville, South Carolina. So I told my wife, I said, let's ride down there and take a look at it. And I said, probably it's going to be in the middle of a cornfield. Well, we go to the south, we go across the state line from North Carolina to South Carolina, and there's a swamp on the state line with an old house and falling down in it. And I'm like, okay. And we drive down into Bennettsville, and the first thing I see is a Chevy sign in the middle of a bean field. When the cornfield is bean field, and no showroom, and I'm like, I don't think so. I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina, and now I grew up in a small town on a tobacco farm, but this is a little bit much. So
Well, in fact, you
and,
in Palmer Springs, Virginia, you called it a poor ass farm that you grew up
yeah,
in.
it was a yeah. Well, the only thing there was a crossroads and a cucumber shed and a general store, and you would borrow a tractor from a neighbor if you had a problem. If a neighbor lost a barn, you would go help them. And I learned a lot of values from my dad growing up in that area that you have to depend on people. You take care of each other, and I think I've tried to use that throughout my career. But that was a good lesson. But I knew I didn't want to do that for a living. I knew that was not what I wanted to do. But he taught me working on farm equipment, and we raced. I raced when I was 15 years old. So it taught me how to work on cars, and also I wouldn't take anything for it. But here I go in and start a used car operation and take over a import deal with BMW, Mercedes, and Honda, doing really well. And I get, you know, recruited, and I drive down there, and I think, man, this is selling 200, less than 200 cars a year total, and they just were out of business, and they didn't have a showroom. Now the rent was $1,800 a month. I
Wow.
mean, if you can believe that. So,
Mm.
um, you know, but we rolled up our sleeves, and I actually got cold feet. And my wife said, "Hey, you want to do this? You might as well. Let's try it. We can start over." So I give her credit for that, and sure enough, we were successful. And Chevy called and said, "Can you handle a big deal?" And I said, "Yeah, I can do. I've got somebody that'll back me." And so went to Charlotte and City Chevrolet, and I walked into this nice Chevy store that wouldn't sell a four-speed Corvette. Uh, didn't offer F&I in 1977, and if you asked for it, they do it. And I just took the statement. And I said, okay, if I do, I know I can do 150 used cars here, 100 anyway, and I can do this, and this. Fixed operation was bulletproof, and new car business, they had good new car business. And I said, I can just plug this, and man, this is going to be a home run, and it really was. I
Sure
mean,
enough, it
I,
was.
yeah, I have to give Chevrolet credit. Back in those days, they if they determined who got the deals, and I remember Detroit had some folks in mind for that deal, but the zone manager said, "Look, this young man went down here and fixed this deal, and we told him that he'd have a bigger opportunity. He went from a big deal down here to do this, and we want him to have this opportunity. And that was a platform that everything grew from.
At 26, you were the youngest Chevy dealer in the United States.
Yep.
Incredible.
Yeah. People would ask me, "Was your dad in the business?" And I'd say, "No, my dad's a farmer."
Yeah.
No, I just love cars. And while I was going to school, I worked at a service station and actually diagnosed a car at an auction for the dealer I went to work for, Mike Leith. And he told me, don't want you to quit school. I was in a co-op deal with Westinghouse, but I was working in a station, and I went with a wholesaler to an auction, and he had a problem with a car. I went out and diagnosed it as a burnt valve, and then later in the day he had a Chevelle with a clutch out of it and couldn't get a bid on it. I said, "I'll take it if you can get it back to Raleigh for me." And my mother worked in a bank, and I tell her, and I could get a 90-day note, so I would buy the car, fix it, and turn around and sell it, and get another one. So that's how
Always
it
an
worked.
entrepreneur. Always
Oh
an
yeah,
entrepreneur.
yeah.
What'd your parents think about you going into the car business?
My mother said, "You're going to be a used car dealer." When I left Westinghouse, I was going to be in engineering, and I needed a couple more years to get my mechanical engineering degree from NC State. And she said, I just can't believe you're going to give all that up to be a used car dealer. And I said, "Look, I love it. I think I can do it." And, I think she was happy down the road that I
I would
did it.
say so.
Yeah.